Hey guys, it's Avenger, welcome back to the channel, and today we're taking a look at Lionheart's latest release, the Learfan LF2200. It says 2100 there. That is technically because it is not that. I'll explain in a moment. What is it? It's a concept aircraft designed by Bill Lear of Learjet fame in the 1960s and 70s. Now, this aircraft was designed to be a potential more economic and lower cost business aircraft. Turboprop, more efficient than a jet, of course. And originally envisaged to be designed and made of carbon fibre, which would be very common now, wasn't as much then. So it was very much a space-age aircraft. Now, this was a design that was able to cruise at nearly 400 knots, fly nearly 1,800 nautical miles, and do so at 40,000 feet. And in fact, it was also going to be was intended to be produced in Ireland, based on economic incentives at the time, that led DeLorean to build in Ireland. So a very similar time period. Now, this is a pusher-prop turboprop aircraft, as you see here. The original design, the LF2100, has two turboprop engines in the back, and they're connected to a reduction box with a dual feed from both engines into one reduction to the prop, which is crazy in terms of design philosophy. But that was Bill Lear. Now, this is, of course, a modernized interpretation using modern avionics and also modern engine, which would be a Pratt & Whitney PT6. Now, what do we get in this? Of course, we have the Asobos AS3X touchscreen avionics suite with mini TSC screens for radios and other things. We have the King Air style autopilot. We have usual bells and whistles of adjustable knobs and dials, and we have frosting, of course, with the windows and body. And we have the rain effects. We have all these amazing paint schemes here with interior cabin paint schemes as well. There's 6 different ones of that, and it works with the fuel trucks and ground serve power trucks and all those other features as well. Now, we've got the usual bunch of extra options and things you'd always expect with an aeroplane, like the ability for it to have like nice items you see here, chocks, we've got engine covers, we have even luggage at the side of the aircraft. And for clarity's sake, I purchased this aircraft myself on the marketplace. It is £20 on there. And let's go take a look at this thing, shall we? Okay, so interesting first starting point. My head starts up in the clouds. And we appear to have a grey interior here. We'll take a look back here in a second, but for now, let's go back here. Yeah, so the initial starting point of your head is a little on the severe side. Let's go outside, take a look at this thing. As, things get quite choppy, actually. I'm not sure if there's an initial drop as it loads something in, or it's just deciding it wants to behave badly, but my gosh, that isn't pleasant. Not in the slightest. Going up now. Was it just around the back of the aircraft? No. FPS is generally climbing. Okay, so initial load in perhaps. Maybe it's just an extremely high resolution aircraft model. Not that I think it is, but it's always a consideration. Okay, FPS is dropped back down to almost nothing now. Okay. So this is, before anyone asks, I have a really powerful computer that really behaves itself normally. This is unusual. So very smooth design, obviously. This one's carbon fibre designed. Yeah, looks okay. Can't see anything wrong with it. Let's go inside, check some of the door functions, because we do know that, let's turn that off. Door should be down here. Which is here, with hidden pistons inside the hinges. The actual design feature it would have had. Let's go play with some views, shall we? We've got a center view there. We've got looking down towards our instruments there. And I believe if I press 8, we can sit in the back and enjoy a pleasant trip in a passenger seat. Oh, hello. Oh, I moved things around. Awesome. I didn't know what that button did, but apparently that button does exactly that. It makes me fly around the cockpit. Wonderful. Could have sworn that was my hat switch for looking around, but I think it's decided it wants my controls to be something entirely different, so there we go. That used to be my hat switch. Well, now it's my hat switch. Oh, because I was in a different view mode. Never mind. Okay, so that's really low resolution. Not a big fan of how that looks. That's kind of crappy, if I'm honest. Nothing here is clickable. It looks a little flat. So for what we're getting, I'm not sure it's as high def as I'd expect, but it's not bad. Okay, so I do know there is actually meant to be a help placards button, so if you're new to the aircraft, you can click on this and it will pop up all these, showing you what everything does. Tea Earl Grey Hot. I like that placard. That's good. Now this button here is a door seal switch, which actually seals the door when you're flying at pressurized altitudes, so it's worth clicking. It's our thrust lever. We have condition here, and we have a prop override knob. It's otherwise, I think, an automated system. So we'll go with that in a second. Let's turn the placards off here. Before we do, where are our instruments to click that we want to start with here? So this is de-icing. Here's our master battery. There's all our systems. Placards off now, because otherwise that gets a bit weird for us. Now, of course, we've got down here our radio pages, which is useful. It's a little bland, perhaps, but quite cool, at least. Now, external power. I can't see behind the parking brake. That's our ignition and engine starters. Okay. Let's make sure everything is set correctly. Let's get our fuel to cut off. Prop is good. Throttle back to idle. Parking brake is set. If I could reach the ignition behind there. That is quite an awkward ignition. So we'll wait for our ITT to come up. And we get our instrumentation behaving itself. And then we'll give it some motion lotion and we'll get it started. As soon as we have a fire in the engine, basically. It's sitting at 15. The prop's coming up, though. At least it has an actual reading on there, so we'll give it fuel. And it's lit. Okay. So once that is lit, we can turn off engine starter. Pull that back out. Yeah, this is going to get annoying with the way its head position is defaulting up there. I don't have my head tracking on yet, so it's doing that is quite strange. What are our current warnings? Parking brake is on, correct? So there are two sets of pitot heat, and I haven't got... Those are on, apparently, so it's telling me those are on. Okay, so can we cancel the master caution, please?
Oral warning, okay.
Yep, thank you. Well aware parking brake's on. That's what it's telling me. Okay, let's take this thing out for a spin, shall we? We'll put our yoke back on, which is very wild and car-like. But I do like it. It's unusual. These instruments down here control cabin pressure. We have lists. And that gives us here our checklists. Takeoff. No, not use full throttle. So it's not really a tablet per se, other than basically placards you can pop up. So it's, yeah, it's just a pop-up here. So essentially it's just showing you one flat page. We've got our speeds, we've got our weights. Takeoff 95 knots, landing or touchdown 75 to 80 knots. So let's take her out for flight. Let's see what she's like. And I'm really getting annoyed by that. Okay, adjust everything. My head is happy. There we go. That's that off. Get the aircraft moving. Unlike other turboprops I've flown recently, this one doesn't seem to want to go growling forwards initially, which is unusual. Unless it's metering itself. Which, with the sort of system you're seeing in here, with the prop control and a prop override, one might think that that's the case, if this will actually turn around on me. I'm probably giving it less power than it wants or needs. I'm trying to get it to turn. Probably clip a building, but what's, you know, one building between friends. Okay, let's get ourselves our flaps set for takeoff. That's more like it. Now it's time to zoom. So I like the concept. I like a lot of the execution. I think it's a little rough around the edges in places. For an aircraft that I really quite like the look of, I think it's quite a cool design. The eye point seems weird. That's an odd one. Like I said, my head tracking was turned off when I first loaded in. That may be a glitch connected to head tracking. I don't know. Or it may be a stock thing. Weird if it's stock. sim performance has gone back to normal, so it's either a connection to the airport or the aircraft. I can't tell, but I've tested aircraft here before and not got that, so I might suspect it's connected to the aircraft. Now, being on the marketplace, I believe this will be available for Xbox. It doesn't have any WASM gauges in here at all, and I believe the sounds it's using are stock. We can go outside and take a listen to those now. Sounds pretty much like standard PT6 engine sounds from the sim. Okay. Now bear in mind, if you want to use those baggage things, I believe the baggage is, yeah, luggage mode there. So those are your luggage mode control switches there, and sunshades are up and down. That controls those in the back. So if I was to click this, nope, not the ELT. Nice that it actually makes a sound though. Oh, my door's open. I should probably close that. Is that closed? Seal the door. Okay. Everything's actually attached to where we should be now. Let's get ourselves out of here. We'll do a couple of quick loops around and we'll bring her back in and see how she actually flies. Because I could put up with the cabin roof. Unfortunately, it's so visible to you with it thrusting your head up there at the start, which might just be a head tracking connected bug. Not one I've experienced really though, so I can't tell. My mind wants to tell me it's connected to the actual model, but you never know. Either way, that's going to annoy me. The low poly edge of it as well, connected to the fact that it could be a higher quality fabric appearance. So we're not using full throttle for takeoff. We're looking for 95 knots here. Airspeed's alive. No issues on the center line here with torque. Not got a ton of runway here at LMC. We are running out of it pretty rapidly. We're definitely running out of it. I'm going to have to ease her. Okay, she doesn't seem to care. 95, don't think so. Let's check our landing gear coming up here. Pretty standard system. Main gear comes up to the sides, nose gear goes forward. Nimble little plane. Alright, so our power is not full here, and we're still struggling to get past 70-ish knots. Pull those flaps up. Condition is good. Prop is good. Engine performance should be great. This thing is really kind of... Now it's gaining speed. It seems that the engine is torqued up a little bit. It does feel underpowered. Granted, I'm at 3,500 feet for takeoff, which isn't a ton for a turboprop. It's nothing for a turboprop, in fact. It does feel like it's struggling a little bit. I'd expect a little bit more oomph from something like this. Especially a design this slippery. Gear up and flaps in, I'm clean. It should be a lot more aggressive. Roll rate is kind of sluggish, actually. That's full side to side on the yoke. Single centerline thrust. No, I'm not going over that. That feels like a terrible decision, if ever I've made one. But speeds do feel kind of chunky. Now, it's placard speed of getting up to 390 knots at altitude. Fair enough, but I'd expect it to pull up to a good 200 at lower altitude very quickly and easily. I'm not seeing that. We're at 120 now. Throttle position-wise, let's see if there's a metric readout. There is not. But I am essentially an inch from the top. My actual prop is super low. What the hell? Look at that. It's like the prop is being held back below what it should be. Interesting. And it's not reacting to any input from the override. go to full throttle here, and it suddenly pushes the prop up to what would be an operating range. That's more like it. Oh, let's get my head down here, because suddenly we're back in the clouds. That's more like the umph I expected from a turboprop plane. There we go. Let's pull the prop back slightly. It seems to be using a governor system for my RPM. Don't know how that system would be designated in a turboprop aircraft, but that's got a kick in the seat now. Now we're over 200 plus knots. Okay, wonderful. That's better. Suddenly it feels like a turboprop, but it feels like the propeller is giving most of its torque and most of its power within the final little bit of your actual throttle range. So whilst my throttle mapped to standard in all my aircraft I fly would give me almost all of my takeoff thrust within where I had it, which is less than an inch from the top, I have to almost firewall this thing to get the engine to almost engage, which the manual does say do not use full throttle on takeoff. In fact, you saw it on the placard there. Where is that? Let's take a look. Which button were you? Yeah, do not use full throttle. Weird, because it needs full throttle to actually go. But I'm assuming this is overspeeding the aircraft, so let's pull that back here. As we're starting to get very turbulent and we're seeing a lot of shaking happening over 200 knots, so let's pull this back, we'll turn around and we're going to bring her back in for Zalamse. Now, I don't know if we have reverse throttle, but we're going to find out. Or reverse pitch, I should say. Let's bring our speed back here. Yes, 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 be quiet. At least I can tell it to shut up, which is always a benefit. Yeah, so this feels like a really nice idea that wasn't fully realised. I have said this for one or two previous aircraft from this developer. I love what they do in terms of unique aircraft. Yep, that's gone into beta. I should pull that forward, so that's definitely working. Okay. Let's not drop below that gate. Gear down. Gonna have to slide a little around the hillside here and drop her in, Zalamse. Shouldn't be a huge problem. It does mean our final is a little bit less stabilised than we'd like. What are we looking at here? 120 knots, so we're coming into flap range. Give it a single notch. Not too much throttle there. Under 100, we'll keep it about here. Second stage of flaps. So far, it's a stable aircraft. Very stable. And it is a cool concept. I do like that about it. The super duper colourful fuses do annoy me a little bit, though. I think that's a little bit too vibrant. Yoke back on there. No, I do like the wild and wacky aircraft designs Lionheart make. They do really put some cool aircraft out there. This one definitely being one of them. We are slow now, so let's build that speed up again. A little bit more throttle. But not too much. We want to keep it about this because we're going to put our nose down in a second. As we use the hillside here as a bit of a ski slope here. I'm going to pull my power back here and drop the nose.
500.
Yep, thank you for that. It's called a hill. Slightly curved final in here. Most likely not textbook, but we don't like the textbook here. So power back to idle. As we're now putting our nose down, we're at about 91, so we're a little quick going to be over the fence here. Nature of our approach means we haven't got a ton of room there. But we can always put it in reverse on the runway and be just fine. Coming in over the trees, we're going to start bleeding some of that speed off. Could have touched down about 80, I expect now. Without any assistance. Little to the side. Just ease her back over. Now is not the time you don't want to decide to throw away my FPS. And she's throttling up there. Speed rapidly pouring off there. Bring that back to 0, and boom, we're down. Flaps are coming up. We'll park and put her in landing mode, should we say. We'll pick our luggage. Taxiway should be up on our right over here. I like it. Now, problem is I haven't seen a ton of updates for the Lionheart aircraft that did come out already. Things like the Trinidad and other variants, the Youngman. So, I'm not sure what we'll see in terms of updates to this and any corrections. That ceiling bothers me. The head up in the clouds bothers me. Again, I can't tell if that head position is going to be something that I caused, but I don't get it in other aircraft. Other than one, which was the Airplane Heaven Electra, which also had the same thing. No other aircraft I've flown has had the same problem. Okay, bring her in nicely here. Now, it's nippy, it's quick, it's responsive, it's going to have really easy navigation and systems for you to use, which is a plus if you like flying these sort of aircraft. And in business jet market where we haven't got a ton of business aircraft, I'd say you're looking between the Honda Jet and this, and I would probably say the Honda Jet is the better play. If you want a really modern, glass cockpitted, modern business aircraft, I'm going to say the Honda Jet's really the call to make. This is cool, and if you like kooky and strange, it's definitely a perfect choice. But the Honda Jet is a much better put together product, I would say. Okay, bring her in here and park. No, that's behind the gate, so we'll put our parking brake on there. And we will shut down the aircraft. Nope. You are not inside the gate. Fuel is off. Let's turn my head off here as well. So engines down. RPM's dropping to 0. Let's pop the door open. Let's get our luggage mode. Luggage mode on. Park mode on. Sunshades are down. And there we have all our stuff. Nice and simple functionality. A weird, wonderful, and quite intriguing aeroplane that I think could be really awesome with a couple of tweaks. The head position, some of the textures are a little flat and in some cases kind of low res. But overall a solid aircraft. No systems depth. The tablet is literally just essentially 2 placards. Unfortunate, but hey, at least it has the information on there. Or some at least. I don't think it's quite worth the price. I think it's over what I'd really want to pay for it, and otherwise solid if it got updates. But I don't know if it will. So make your own mind up there. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time. Bye.